A scam in Sun Prairie is targeting people trying to help out with relief efforts after last week's deadly explosion.
Sun Prairie is working on a plan and a timeline for rebuilding that downtown area, and they want your opinions.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. 6 o'clock now on this Thursday, July 19th. We have a nice sunrise out there despite the forecast for later on in the day.
Yeah, we do have some rain coming in, but that's a good thing as well. But the sunrise this morning has been pretty nice. Some clouds already starting to move into the area from the west. That's making for a gorgeous shot early this morning. Here's the WISC-TV sky cam, obviously looking towards the east. You will see an increase in the clouds today, some rain on the radar map, and it's not that far off. But over the last 3 hours, it has not made much progress to the east. Relatively dry air in place will have to be overcome before that rain can actually reach the ground here in southern Wisconsin. So I think after lunchtime, that's our best chance to start to see that rain move in. So a dry morning, temperatures starting in the 50s and low 60s for the area. Current temp 58 right now in Madison. Temperatures will climb to the upper 70s later on today with a southeasterly wind. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning for the 6 o'clock hour. No accidents report or major slowdowns in the region, so travel times into Madison look pretty good. You're still going at posted speeds, and that's your first alert traffic.
That's what we like to see. Really, the last few days, it's only been those closures in the Sun Prairie area that we're about to talk about that have been posted on the maps.
We should knock on wood.
Right,
exactly. We just jinxed it.
Sorry, guys. My fault. I'll take the blame here. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
6:01 your time now. There is a scam in Sun Prairie targeting the support for the city after last week's deadly explosion. The Salvation Army says 2 young women are going door to door, claiming to be members of that organization and asking for donations for the relief effort. A homeowner called police after the pair stopped by her home twice in a day. The Salvation Army says the 2 are telling people the money will go towards Sun Prairie relief efforts, but they're not sure where that money is actually going. Anyone with information, anyone who might have seen those 2, is asked to call police.
Utility crews are assuring people living in the area near another gas leak in Sun Prairie that there's nothing to be concerned about this morning. A We Energy spokesperson says the company was informed of that gas leak around 8:30 yesterday morning in the 400 block of Badinger Court. That's on the city's northeast side in a neighborhood just south of Highway 151. Crews were able to turn off the gas about 15 minutes after the call. One customer was without service during the repairs. Last week's explosion, though, happened after contractors hit a gas line and natural gas that pooled in one of the buildings ignited after that. Now, some of the area is still closed off in downtown Sun Prairie as police and federal investigators look into whether anyone's responsible for the explosion.
In the meantime, the city wants anyone who lives, works, or travels through the downtown area to share their thoughts on how to rebuild at a public meeting tonight. Our Christina Laurie is live on Bristol Street with more on that meeting and the future of the area. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. Sun Prairie city leaders hope to put together a timetable tonight on how long it could take to rebuild this Bristol and Main Street intersection and Highway 19, which runs through. They're hosting a public information meeting, as you said, tonight in the city council chambers at 5:30. Last week, Governor Scott Walker pledged that the state will help the city rebuild the roadway. Now the DOT is taking charge, talking about how long it could take to begin that process and answer questions from people who live in town and local businesses too. Sun Prairie Mayor Paul Esser will also be at that meeting. He calls rebuilding the highway an important step in allowing his city to move forward. And we'll be joined by Mayor Paul Esser coming up in about 30 minutes here on News 3 This Morning. We'll ask what he hopes tonight's meeting accomplishes.
I'm interested to hear, too, if he expects a large crowd. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who have opinions about what happens next in that area.
Always a lot of support for the Sun Prairie community this week.
Absolutely. Christina Laurie, thank you so much.
6:04 your time now. A third of voters in Wisconsin are still undecided this morning heading into the primary election. That's just less than a month away. That is the finding from the latest Marquette Law School poll when it comes to Wisconsin's governor's race. For Democrats, State Superintendent Tony Evers is still in the lead. He's up 6 points from June. No other candidate in the race, though, makes it to double digits. And 38% of voters still don't know who they'll support in that August 14th primary. That's the same story in the Republican race for U.S. Senate, although the lead there has switched. State Senator Leah Vukmir is now ahead of former Marine Kevin Nicholson, 34 to 32%. That's a change from just last month. But again, 30% of voters in that race don't know who they'll vote for. Poll director Charles Franklin says while those undecided totals are pretty big, it will likely be a sprint to the finish for all of the candidates. He's calling the Senate race in particular a toss-up.
A third candidate with experience on Madison's Common Council will officially enter the race for mayor later today. Brenda Conkle is currently the executive director of the Tenant Resource Center in Madison. Conkle announced her plans to run on social media Sunday and will officially launch her campaign tonight. She represented the Near East Side and parts of the downtown area on council, but lost her seat in 2009. As the co-founder of Occupy Madison and the lead volunteer for the Tiny House Village project, which you're seeing right here, Conkle says her priorities would include increasing resources for the homeless and affordable housing options. Now, Conkle joins current Alder Maurice Cheeks and former Alder Satya Rhodes Conway, who are also running to replace Mayor Paul Soglin in next April's election. Soglin announced this week he will not run for re-election, instead focusing on next month's primary for governor.
Some good news for Packer football fans in the northern part of the state. Stress no more. You might soon be guaranteed the right to watch the green and gold on TV, even if the Vikings or the Lions are playing. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin is the author of the Go Pack Go Act. The issue right now is that people in 13 Wisconsin counties are assigned to an out-of-state team based on their broadcast market, so that they can't watch the Packers when they play at the same time as Minnesota or Detroit. The bill would require cable, satellite, and other providers to give Wisconsin folks access to every Packers game that's broadcast. Senator Baldwin is up for re-election this November, as we mentioned earlier, running against either Leah Vukmir or Kevin Nicholson. 6:06 your time now. We're sharing a shocking new study on liver cancer that shows while all cancer death rates are dropping overall, that particular illness is seeing the opposite. We're going to talk with a doctor from the UW Carbone Cancer Center to try and explain what's going on there.
Hattie is tracking the possibility for
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. Pretty comfortable conditions this morning and no rain right now, but it is in the forecast later today. Luckily for us, though, our severe weather threat is pretty limited today. There's just a marginal risk for severe weather across far southwestern Wisconsin. That does include parts of our viewing area, but a better chance for stronger storms with large hail and damaging winds lies across Iowa and parts of northern Missouri. Now take a look at the line of showers and thunderstorms that's been developing over the last couple of hours. It's been filling in, but not tracking too quickly to the east. We still have pretty dry air in place here across southern Wisconsin, so it takes a while for the atmosphere to saturate before those showers and thunderstorms will actually move in and begin to reach the ground. So I think after the lunch hour, that's when our better chances for rain start to occur here in southern Wisconsin. Rain totals through Friday night, though, for the next 48 hours are looking pretty impressive. We definitely need the moisture here across southern Wisconsin, and some spots could pick up over an inch. Now, it's going to be highly variable across the area, as this is not going to be a widespread continuous rain, more like scattered showers and rounds of showers and thunderstorms moving through. Any of the stronger storms will have the potential to drop some pretty locally heavy rain. A beautiful sunrise earlier this morning. Now we have partly sunny skies in Platteville. As you can see on the Queen Bee Radio Skycam, it is 61 in Platteville and Mineral Point this morning, 58 here in Madison, and 57 in Janesville. Dew points are still in the 50s, so we're not worrying about humidity too much right now. As the storm gets a little closer, though, we'll start to see more moisture move in, and those dew points creep back into the low 60s later on this afternoon. So feeling a little bit more humid later today. Take a look at Future Track, the forecast model that we use to show you what's going to happen here across southern Wisconsin. It's doing a pretty good job showing you that we stay dry through the lunch hour today. Afternoon, though, those showers and thunderstorms are fair game for the entire area. Now, again, they are going to be scattered, so there will be breaks in the rain today, even into tonight. But this sort of activity will continue overnight tonight and right through the day on Friday, and most likely into Saturday as well. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures that will top in the 70s for the next couple of days with this storm system sitting around the area. We should start to dry out more on Sunday with a high of 81. Now let's get a look at First Alert traffic with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Well, looking good on the Beltline so far this morning. No major delays showing up heading east or westbound. Checking out other roads here in Dane County, there are a few brake lights on Verona Road near the Beltline ramps, but really nothing to slow you down at this point. No problems at all downtown. Volume shouldn't be an issue at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes leading into the Madison area, including on the interstate, are moving along at the posted speeds with no crashes or delays. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. 6:13 almost your time this morning, and new research out this week shows that liver cancer death rates are going in the wrong direction. The Centers for Disease Control found the death rate rose 43% between 2000 and 2016.
A pretty scary number. That's despite the fact that death rates for all cancers combined is going down. Dr. Sam Lubner joins us from the UW Carbone Cancer Center to talk about this trend. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
What's going on with this particular cancer?
Yeah, you know, the death rates for all cancers, as you said, are on the way down, and I think that has a lot to do with recognizing risk factors for other major cancers like lung cancer. Smoking rates are on the decline. Lung cancer mortality is on the decline. In liver cancer, it is often the end result of a series of other risk factors, things like alcohol abuse, things like injection drug use, or things like receiving a transfusion before the blood pool was appropriately tested for things like hepatitis C. So those factors, combine for a development of a cancer by a delay of about 20 years. So we're still seeing that increase as a result of those risk factors.
You think, too, that there's not enough awareness, I'm just curious, of the risk factors here, and you said a lot of this can happen pretty quietly.
Yeah, most patients present asymptomatically.
Yeah.
This isn't the kind of thing where you can see a mass or you're coughing up blood or some other alarming symptom. So this is often detected when it's asymptomatic, and what it really takes is a vigilant primary doctor to ask the right questions about transfusions before 1992, injection drug use, alcohol, and obesity.
How about treatments? Are we on pace with new technology compared to treatments for other cancers?
You know, I think the funding for liver cancer lags behind other cancers for a variety of reasons, and I also think it's just a harder cancer to treat. Where we're making a lot of headway is treatment for some of the risk factors. So vaccines for hepatitis B make a big difference. Treatments for virally mediated hepatitis C developing cancer down the road. So now that we've got better treatments for hepatitis C, we have less incidence of hepatitis C related cancer.
And you said, we're talking about 43%, you know, roughly in the last 20 years or so. You said this rate has been going up for decades and decades and decades.
Yep.
In your eyes, what is it going to take to go in the other direction?
Well, I think from a public health perspective, we've done a lot of important things like identifying these risk factors and educating the public about things like alcohol abuse, injection drug use, and making sure that people know, hey, if you've gotten a blood transfusion in the late 80s, early 90s, or if you continue to abuse alcohol or have obesity, you're at risk for developing other bad things.
So the takeaway here is really taking a look at your alcohol consumption and the use of drugs.
Agreed. And I would also say having a healthy lifestyle, a healthy balanced diet, and decreasing abdominal obesity.
All right, some interesting
Yeah,
study
definitely.
right there. Dr. Sam Lubner, thanks so much for joining us this
Thanks for
morning.
having me.
Thanks for waking up. Your time right now is 6:16, and a Mount Horeb mom says it is time to talk about mental health in her community, in particular after multiple suicides there. Her son was one of the young men who took his life. We will share her message and an opportunity to show support for her family coming up.
And I guess I missed my chance to kayak this week, unless I get out there right now. What a gorgeous morning. But we are watching for some storms today, tomorrow, possibly Saturday too. Hattie's got your first alert forecast when News 3 This Morning continues.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Your first alert forecast today does call for the chance for rain, just not yet. The Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, our western viewing area, still showing you plenty of sunshine in that area. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends. Thicker clouds, though, just on the other side of the Mississippi River Valley, and rain not that far off. We do have chances for rain starting this afternoon. Temperatures will top in the upper 70s. Scattered showers and thunderstorms then will continue tonight right into tomorrow. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Pretty good bet that this storm system, as slow moving as it is, will stick around through Saturday. We should begin to dry out on Sunday. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Hattie. So the Mount Horeb community will meet next week to talk about the deaths of 3 young people in their community within the last 2 weeks alone.
Such a sad story. Police say at least 2 were suicides, and they're looking into whether a 10-year-old boy killed himself as well. One of those young men is Joseph Larson. His mom, Heidi, says her 19-year-old son loved playing video games and watching YouTube, but he was probably best known for his customer service at the Mount Horeb Culvers. Friends and family were shocked when he took his own life earlier this month.
For him to not realize, the impact that he had on other people's lives, the many ways that he will be missed, not just by us, but by many.
Heidi Larson says her son struggled with autism, anxiety, and depression. The Mount Horeb Mental Health Coalition says the conversation about mental health issues has to happen for kids now as young as 9 or 10, as social media use starts getting younger and younger. The organization is teaming up with the Mount Horeb School District for an open forum on August 2nd. And this Saturday, Culvers in Mount Horeb will donate 25% of its sales to Joseph's family. If you or someone you know needs help immediately, there are 24-hour crisis lines here locally and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline right there on your screen. We also have a number of resources up on our Time to Talk page at channel3000.com. Such an important conversation to be having.
Absolutely. I think the moral of the story is reach out to someone. Start talking to someone if you are struggling, and hopefully those other resources can help back those efforts up too.
We're keeping that Mount Horeb community
out. There is support.
We're keeping that Mount Horeb community in our thoughts too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 6:22 your time now. Coming up in our next half hour, Sun Prairie wants your input when it comes to rebuilding after last week's deadly explosion. Christina Laurie has a live report from the scene after the break.
And millions of state dollars are going toward helping homeowners and businesses replace lead pipes across Wisconsin. We'll take a look at why that effort is so important when News 3 This Morning returns. The mayor of Sun Prairie is ready to talk about rebuilding after an explosion destroyed parts of his city. We will hear from him in minutes.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:25 on this Thursday, July 19th. A beautiful sunrise we've been soaking in, but we're not sure if the sun's going to stay out full force for very long.
Hattie's got the details. She's out on the patio this morning. Hey there, Hattie.
Good morning. It's a beautiful start to this Thursday morning. We do have sunshine and blue skies overhead. Clouds will move in from the west, though, today as rain approaches. Take a look at our Skycam shot. The Edgewater Skycam looking out over downtown Madison, showing you a nice quiet start to the day. A look at the radar map, though, will show you kind of a different picture just to the west. A pretty solid line of showers and thunderstorms stretching from west central Minnesota all the way down through Iowa this morning, and it is moving off to the east. A slow track to the east, but a steady one. So after lunchtime today, that's when our best chances for rain start to move into western Wisconsin. Here in the Madison area, we'll probably have a few more hours of dry weather, but rain chances really start to increase after 7 p.m. this evening. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic this morning. Our maps showing you that things are pretty quiet right now. No major delays to report, just a few brake lights showing up on that westbound belt line near Stoughton Road. Drive times into Madison from the surrounding communities still looking pretty normal. Nothing to slow you down just yet. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks, Hattie. 6:27 your time now. Governor Walker says the state will commit money and resources to Highway 19 in Sun Prairie. Some roads in the downtown area are still closed this morning as police continue their investigation.
There is an opportunity tonight to talk about rebuilding that area, and Sun Prairie's mayor is among the people looking forward to hearing from the public. He joins Christina Laurie live this morning on Bristol Street. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. We're joined by Mayor Paul Esser, as you said this morning, who will be attending tonight's meeting. What do you expect comes out of this meeting?
We have asked the Department of Transportation and come in to talk to us about the process as they foresee it now of identifying what needs to be done with the highway. It's right over here by us, what repairs need to be done. Maybe talk about a timeline and then do a question and answer session so people in the community have the opportunity to ask questions, find out what's going on, feel like they're part of the process.
Great. So to talk a little bit about that timeline, how quickly do you hope to have this rebuilt?
I think rebuilding this is going to be an indication that Sun Prairie is moving on. We're moving forward. So as soon as we can get it done, I would like to see that happen. But I think it needs to be done correctly. This is a state highway. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is going to determine what doing it correctly means, and so we'll need to live within their time frame.
So hopefully we'll get some more of those answers tonight.
Yes.
So rebuilding, obviously, from an infrastructure standpoint is very important, but also it's important to bringing this community back to some sense of normal. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The doing it is symbolic of us moving ahead, recognizing we've had a disaster, we lost a young man in this, we need to remember him and stay strong for his widow and family, but we also need to move on as a city. This has happened. We've had buildings destroyed. We need to pick up from here, fix the road, determine what's going to happen with those buildings. That says Sun Prairie is back.
Sun Prairie Strong has been the slogan in the week since this explosion. And looking along this fence here, it really has grown as a memorial. I saw one of the little taglines on the fence that says, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have." What have you been most proud of from the Sun Prairie community?
I have been so proud of how the community has reached out to everybody, to the people that were affected, Abby Barr and her girls, the building owners down here, and the emergency service people, the fire, police, and EMS. Community has come out. They've provided food, drinks, clothing, and now we've had an outpouring of financial gifts that is going to help this community rebuild.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mayor Esser. And anyone else, if you live in the community, if you drive through Sun Prairie, if you just want to come out and support this community, you can go to the meeting tonight in the City Council chambers at 5:30 and voice your opinion about how they will rebuild.
Still a lot of questions as well, so I'm sure a lot of people will be out asking those to the mayor, to the DOT, to anyone. So please take advantage of that. A lot of people wanting to voice their opinions, I'm sure.
A great way to sort of involve the entire community as well.
Yeah. All right, Christina, Lori, thank you so much, and thank you to the mayor as well.
Communities in our area, across the state as well, are getting millions of dollars to replace lead pipes. Governor Walker announced yesterday that more than $26 million will go toward replacing water lines in homes, schools, and daycares. Property owners are usually responsible for the cost of those changes, so this money is meant to lift the burden for them. 42 different communities will get new pipes. That includes Baraboo, Janesville, Platteville, and a handful of other cities in our area.
That announcement comes as a new national report shows more than a third of schools that tested for lead found elevated levels of lead in their water. Now, the latest federal study estimates only 43% of school districts actually tested their drinking water. And of those, an estimated 37% of the school districts did find high lead levels. That could lead to things like anemia, kidney and brain damage, learning disabilities, and decreased growth for kids. CBS This Morning will have much more on that report coming up after 7. 6:31 right now, and there could be some changes on your gas and electric bills next year, but MG&E says it will eventually lead to savings for its customers. The State Journal is reporting that the utility company wants to reduce rates about $1.30 a month for the typical residential electric bill next year, freeze that rate, though, through 2020. The proposal, though, has natural gas prices going up about 36 cents a month for the average customer.
In Rock County this morning, a night janitor at Janesville Parker High School is on unpaid leave for charges of having child porn. 58-year-old David Fredericks is out on a signature bond after a court appearance this week. The Janesville Gazette reports the school district says the charges are not based on any information found on school computers. The district did a sweep of school bathrooms, locker rooms, and Frederick's office and didn't find anything incriminating. In a statement, the district said it is serious about its responsibility to keep its students safe and that it's working with police in that investigation. Fredericks, meanwhile, will be back in court in August.
DeForest Village attorney is investigating the police chief and his department after the village board decided to close its investigation. The video that sparked both of those investigations was posted on YouTube. Chief Daniel Furseth can be heard commenting on a group of African-American men in a parking lot. Now, according to the DeForest Times-Tribune, the village board decided last night not to file a complaint and to close its portion of the investigation. The paper does report, though, there is a second ongoing investigation by the village attorney that involves the entire police department. We hope to bring you more details on that investigation in particular and its timeline. We'll be sure to update you over on channel3000.com. Okay, if you are using a dating service to help find love, you will want to hear one woman's story and her call for action over problems that she experienced with Wisconsin singles.
Rose Kelso lost her husband and her mother in a span of just 6 months. You might remember her mom, 82-year-old Agnes Bram, was murdered. The man renting a room from her, John Hammond, will go to court at the end of the month for her homicide. That is a lot of loss to handle. So Rose turned to a dating agency to help her find a companion.
I just was feeling alone. And even though there's people around you, you just feel like, you know, you just need someone.
After weeks of working with Wisconsin Singles and a $4,000 contract with that company, Rose ultimately walked away from an experience she called horrible. We're going to share her call for action story and how the dating agency is responding later today on News 3 at 10.
Looking forward to that. A lot of people over online to find love these days.
And Rose has so much to deal with already, hoping to find a solution for her.
Absolutely. 6:34 right now. So we here at News 3 saw firsthand how people are just eager to help reach out to the Sun Prairie community and help them recover after last week's explosion. But unfortunately, we have to warn you about scammers this morning. That's coming up in the Sprint.
We'll have more on that. And some UW-Madison students are building the future of transportation right now with SpaceX in California. We're going to tell you about their plan to revamp your morning commute. To hint, it includes a vacuum tube and speeds around 700 miles an hour. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
Welcome back. 6:38 your time this morning, and a team of UW-Madison students is testing out their design for a big transportation idea.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That student group, Badger Loop, is at an international competition with SpaceX in California on Hyperloop technology. That's basically a type of transportation that shoots a pod through vacuum tubes at hundreds of miles per hour.
Think of it as like when you go to the bank and you put the money up that tube. It's like that.
Is if you think of an airplane without wings and put it through a tube.
Terrifying, but fast. While students rush to come up with the best design, cities in the Midwest are already laying groundwork for a commercial Hyperloop network. The tubes would make a trip between Chicago and Cleveland only half an hour long. Milwaukee to Chicago, just 15 minutes.
That's
Can you
wild.
imagine?
Yeah.
The SpaceX competition is on Sunday. The winning team gets to take a run through the company's test tube.
That is totally wild and amazing to think about. Really smart people coming from the UW.
Proud.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're not going to want to be in a vacuum tube today. At least this morning, we've been really spoiled with the weather recently. The long stretch of sunny, clear skies. It's looking really nice out right now, but you will want your umbrella on the way out the door this morning. Hattie has an update on when storms could roll in coming up.
But first, let's take a look at who's 3 today. We want to say happy birthday to Axel and all the kiddos turning 3. Welcome back. We are taking a live look outside right now from our Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. Some clouds, no rain yet. Those folks can expect some showers right around noon. Hattie's going to have a longer look at our first alert forecast coming up. 6:43 your time now. Some of the country's biggest athletes are back home this morning after one of the biggest nights in sports off the field. Race car driver Danica Patrick hosted the 2018 ESPY Awards last night. The highlight of the evening was when 140 of the survivors of Larry Nassar's abuse took the stage to accept the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. Last night also honored 3 coaches who were killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School while protecting students from the shooter back in February.
So speaking of the ESPYs, a former Wisconsin football player and military veteran is waking up with the Pat Tillman Award for service after last night's awards ceremony. Jake Wood served 4 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and after his time at the UW. Once he came home, he became one of the founding members of Team Rubicon. That nonprofit has brought 8,000 veterans together to use their skills to respond to a number, hundreds that is, of disasters around the world. Now, CBS This Morning's Chip Reed talked with Wood about Team Rubicon's efforts, specifically in Houston following Hurricane Harvey, and how that work is helping the vets recover from trauma of combat. You can see that story for yourself. It's coming up right around 8:45.
Congrats to him. All right, over to Hattie now for a look at a rainier first alert forecast for today. Hey, Hattie.
Good morning. We've had a pretty nice week so far and a pretty dry month. Take a look at July precipitation. Only 4 days so far this month we've had rain, and one of those days just a trace. We have added up about 1.6 inches of rain so far, but the total for the month usually is over 4 inches. So we're a little bit below where we should be for this time in July. GFS Future Track forecast model, though, bringing some rain back into the area. Now this morning it's dry across southern Wisconsin. It's doing a pretty good job depicting where exactly that rain is at this hour. As we head towards the lunch hour, that rain starts to move into southwestern Wisconsin, and then it will spread across the entire area this afternoon into tonight. Now, we're not looking at a widespread steady rain. It'll be more scattered showers and thunderstorms, rounds of rain moving through the area. This storm system rotates right across southern Wisconsin. You can see the counterclockwise circulation of the winds. So we'll keep the rain in the forecast on and off through the day on Friday. And unfortunately, even into Saturday, we're still likely to see many showers popping up during the afternoon and then diminishing during the evening. Now on Sunday, the chances for rain are a little bit lower and they're higher, especially further to the east, a little bit closer to that storm system. Adding it up over the next 4 days, though, we could see some pretty good rain totals, especially for the southern part of the state. All of Wisconsin is going to see some rain, but the heaviest totals will be in southern Wisconsin. Over an inch is possible over the next several days. Doppler track showing you where the rain is this morning, and again lining up across Minnesota into Iowa this morning, raining in Waterloo this morning. It is tracking to the east, but rather slowly. The severe weather outlook for southern Wisconsin pretty low today. Just a marginal risk for severe weather in the far southwestern corner of the state. Better chance for stronger storms as you head into central Iowa. A live look from the Henry Violet Zoo Skycam this morning. The water, oh, there's the polar bear out for a swim once again. Been taking some early morning swims this morning. Got to get it in before any threat for lightning today. 58 right now in Madison, 61 in the Dells, 63 in Boscobel this morning, and 66 in Prairie du Chien. That's our warm spot. Dew points are still in the 50s. We'll see those numbers creep into the 60s, though, later this afternoon as moisture moves into the region. Now take a look at future track, and again, by lunchtime, that rain still to the west. Clouds continuing to spread across the area, and scattered showers and thunderstorms. Fair game for the entire area this afternoon into this evening. Again, not a steady rain, but on and off rain showers possible. Any of those stronger storms will have the potential to produce locally heavy rain. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Still raindrops in the area on Saturday. Mainly dry in most spots on Sunday with highs back in the 80s. Pretty comfortable as we head into next week. No major heat waves, at least for the next 10 days. Here's our pet walk forecast.
Oh, buddy.
Maggie enjoying the beautiful summer weather. I'm with Maggie. Get outside this morning.
Look at that little mustache.
Very
Perfect day
cute.
for maybe a little trim. Stay inside during those storms. Get a little work done.
Not a bad idea.
All right, thanks, Addie.
You're welcome.
Your morning sprint's coming up next on News 3 This Morning.
6:50 your time now. Time for the morning sprint. Hattie is keeping an eye on storms, putting an end to our stretch of sunny weather.
Bummer. And Christina Laurie is live in downtown Sun Prairie, where the mayor is hosting a meeting about rebuilding that area after last week's explosion. First, though, the Salvation Army says 2 young women are going door to door claiming to be collecting money for relief efforts in Sun Prairie. Someone called police after the scammers stopped by her house twice in the same day. The nonprofit says those 2 women have no affiliation with the organization, do not give them money. Anyone with information on this is asked to call police.
Utility crews are assuring people living in the area near another gas leak in Sun Prairie that there's nothing to be worried about this morning. A WE Energy spokesperson says there was a gas leak yesterday morning on the city's northeast side. Crews were able to turn off the gas 15 minutes after that call. You'll remember last week's explosion happened after contractors hit a gas line and natural gas pooled in one of the buildings before igniting.
Sun Prairie residents and business owners will get a chance to voice their opinions about what's next for rebuilding the city's downtown area at a public information meeting tonight. That meeting will take place at 5:30 in the city council chambers. Last week, Governor Scott Walker pledged the state will help rebuild Highway 19, including the Bristol and Main Street intersection, which has been severely damaged from that explosion. Officials hope to put together some sort of timeline at tonight's meeting, as well as answer questions from area residents and local business owners. Again, that meeting starts at 5:30 tonight at City Hall.
Thank you, Christina. More than a third of Wisconsin voters do not know who they are going to vote for in next month's primary elections when it comes to the race for governor. The latest Marquette Law School poll shows 38% of those surveyed are undecided in the Democratic primary for governor. State Superintendent Tony Evers leads that race.
U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin wants to guarantee all Packers fans can watch the green and gold on TV. She's the author of a bill that would require TV providers to air Packers games across Wisconsin. Right now, people in 13 Wisconsin counties are assigned to an out-of-state team based on their broadcast market. So they can't watch the Packers when Minnesota or Detroit is playing at the same time. Senator Baldwin is up for re-election this November.
Senator Baldwin is up for re-election, as Leah just mentioned, running against either Leah Vukmir or Kevin Nicholson, according to the latest Marquette Law School poll. 30% of voters don't know who they'll vote for on August 14th in that race. State Senator Leah Vukmir now leads, though, former Marine Kevin Nicholson by 2%.
And our forecast for today calls for an increase in the clouds. We're already starting to see some of those clouds move into the Platteville area. You can see that on our Queen Bee Radio Skycam. The rain isn't too far behind. There's a line of showers and thunderstorms moving across Iowa and Minnesota. It'll reach the Mississippi River Valley right around lunchtime. Best chances for rain here in Madison are a little bit after that. Those chances for rain really start to increase after 7 p.m. this evening.
All right, thanks, Hattie. The Mount Horeb community is meeting next month to talk about mental health following the deaths of 3 young people in their community within the last 2 weeks. Police say at least 2 were suicides, and they're looking into whether a 10-year-old boy killed himself as well. The Mount Horeb Mental Health Coalition says the conversation about mental health issues has to happen for kids as young as 9 or 10 now, as social media use starts younger and younger.
The organization is teaming up with the Mount Horeb School District for an open forum on this issue that happens next Thursday, August 2nd. It's at 6 p.m. at the public library. Of course, if you or someone you know needs help immediately, there are 24-hour crisis lines here locally and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number there is listed on your screen. We also have a number of resources up on our Time to Talk page at channel3000.com.
Communities in our area and across the state are getting millions of dollars to replace lead water lines. Governor Walker announced yesterday that more than $26 million will go toward replacing pipes in homes, schools, and daycares. Property owners are usually responsible for the cost of those changes, so this money is meant to lift the burden for them. 42 different communities will get new pipes, including Baraboo, Janesville, Platteville, and a handful of other cities in our area.
CBS This Morning is taking a closer look at lead levels in water this morning. A new national report shows more than a third of schools that actually tested for lead found elevated levels in their water. The latest federal study estimates 43% of school districts did test for lead in the drinking water. And of those, an estimated 37% of school districts found high lead levels. That can lead to things like anemia, kidney and brain damage, learning disabilities, and decreased growth for kids.
The State Journal reports MG&E wants to reduce electric rates by about $130 a month for the typical resident next year, then freeze that rate through 2020. Under that proposal, though, natural gas prices would go up about 36 cents every month. month. MG&E says it's trying to pay off generators so it can invest in renewable energy resources.
DeForest's village attorney has launched a second investigation into the police chief and his department after the village board decided to close its investigation on the issue. The video that sparked both of those investigations was posted on YouTube. Chief Daniel Furseth can be heard commenting on a group of African-American men in a parking lot. According to the DeForest Times-Tribune, the village board decided not to file a complaint and to close its investigation. The paper reports there is still that second ongoing investigation by the village attorney that involves the entire police department.
The Dane County Fair starts up at the Alliant Energy Center today. The 4-day celebration features live music, food, and also education about Wisconsin's agriculture industry. Today is Hometown Hero Day at the fair, so military service members, veterans, first responders, and police officers get in for free. The Red Cross is also holding a blood drive there today from 1 until 6. The fair runs through Sunday.
People who live around Mazomanie can learn more about work on Highway 19. That's coming up later tonight. The DOT is looking for feedback on the rehabilitation project on 19 between highways 78 and 12. Now, the plan is to repave the road, make some safety improvements as well, like replacing 2 bridges and widening shoulders. That meeting will take place at the Berry Town Hall in Mazomanie tonight at 6:30. Construction is scheduled to start in 2020. Speaking of roads, let's see how bumpy your commute is this morning. Here's one more look at traffic with Josh Tim.
Yeah, some brake lights popping up on the westbound side of the Beltline already between Stoughton Road and West Broadway as it continues to get busier. Give yourself a couple minutes extra in that direction. Not too bad on the inbound side of John Nolan, but it is beginning to slow down near the North Shore Drive intersection as you head into the downtown Madison area. And other main routes leading into the city, they're cruising along at the usual speeds right now with really no crashes or delays to worry about. Your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And this morning, we have a great start here in Madison. Still some sunshine in the area, but we will see more clouds as we head towards the afternoon. Rain is expected to move in later today as well. Here's a look at where that rain is on the radar map. The main band of rain approaching the Mississippi River Valley by lunchtime today. An isolated shower, though, popping up in Lafayette County. Here's a look at our day planner temperatures. We'll climb to highs in the upper 70s today. Rain becomes likely tonight into tomorrow.
Once again, that open forum happening tonight in Sun Prairie where people can voice their opinions on the rebuilding, the reconstruction in that area. Thanks for staying with us. We'll be back tomorrow.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.